Welcome everyone to Next Level Humanity podcast. This is Nevşah here. I have Ron Shah. I hope I'm spelling your surname right. Shash.
Shah.
Shah. Okay, Shah. So it's like my name. My name is Nevşah and your surname is Ron Shah. Brilliant. Thanks for being here. Thanks for accepting our invite. And I will first like you to introduce yourself and your company, and then we'll go from there.
Right. Well, thanks for having me. My name is Ron Shah. My company is called Bizly. Bizly is one of the world's leading platforms for booking events. So booking in-person events at hotels, restaurants, all types of venues anywhere in the world.
Yeah. And how long have you been in business?
We officially started the company in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
We launched in late 2016, early 2017. So I guess that makes us almost 8 years old now.
Yeah, so you did go through the whole pandemic.
Yeah.
The aim of Next Level Humanity podcast, because we have a lot of entrepreneurs, first-time entrepreneurs, second-time entrepreneurs listening, angel investors, people from the startup community, and they're usually interested in challenges and how do successful founders go through those challenges. And I'm sure having an event company and going through the pandemic must be challenging. So my first question will be, how was it? It's like, what was your strategy? How was that period?
It was rough. I will say that before COVID, we had started as a consumer app, kind of like Hotel Tonight, if you've ever used that app. Where
I did. Yeah, I know the platform very well.
Open up Bizly, see any venue, pick what you needed and check out. And it was a beautiful app and it worked pretty well. But then we found that the enterprise market was really where there was more demand and volume and urgency. So we went to enterprise and then by late 2019, so in November of 2019, we were like on a major momentum streak. And we had just closed a funding round led by JetBlue Ventures and Eric Yuan, the founder of Zoom, and a few other people. And we were like, every week we were closing another Fortune 500 company. So we had brought on so many companies. And for the first time after many years, it's hard in the beginning. I'm going to bed with a smile on my face every night. And then we went to London in February to attend a conference, and we won an award for Innovator of the Year. And I remember at that time in February, people were like, oh, there's something going around, so I remember I went to this conference, but I stayed in my hotel room. I was just trying to stay careful.
I was in London at that time as well. I've been living in London since 2017. So
yeah. So I had my trophy. We won the award. I get on the plane from London. I come back, and literally 2 weeks later, lockdown, and we went from like really soaring, almost like rocket ship, into everything's gone, right? So it was for in-person event software, I don't think there's a worse situation.
But I think your only luck was you already had the investment, so you probably had some cash.
We had capital, and the other lucky thing was that we had a lot of enterprise customers who are large Fortune 500 companies that were supportive and that would honor their contract terms, even though they could have said force majeure and blocked out. We had some that, were like, listen, we want to keep our contract, but we need to freeze billings. So, overall, it was pretty rough because basically everything stopped for all of our business, all of our events stopped. Nobody was buying new software for this, obviously. And so at that time, there was a lot of virtual event, companies like Hopin that you might have heard of became like major successes. And everything immediately transferred to virtual, and that's also Zoom became a household name, and all these things happened on the virtual side. And so when we were in the middle of it, we're like, what should we do? Should we shut down the company? Should we stay alive? Should we pivot to virtual? And so we did a number of things. First, we tried to go hybrid. So we added an easy way to connect your, Microsoft Teams, Google, etc., and do hybrid. And we were just preparing for that moment. Then we added a bunch of functionality for virtual events where you could create like formatting formats. So I want to do a virtual, team meeting, icebreaker, whatever the different formats are. You could create the templates, and then we just make the content a lot easier. So we worked on that. That was doing fine. And then basically I did run into one big thing though in the middle of the pandemic, which was that I got really burned out with Zoom calls. So I was in 15 calls a day, back to back, right?
Yeah, I remember those days. I was the same.
Yeah, and everyone,
no break,
all my friends, like you, and everyone, everyone was saying the same thing. We would catch up, and everyone was like, "I'm so burned out with all these Zoom calls." So one day I just had it, and I was thinking, with everything I've learned at Bizly about how to bring humans together, could I solve this problem, of getting burned out, So one idea was could we make the calls more interesting with these different formats and templates? So we worked on that. Then we kind of came up with this idea that could you turn meetings to asynchronous? In other words, we do the meeting, but we don't actually have to get on Zoom. And so we came up with this format for asynchronous meetings, which is really interesting. So basically, it would look at your calendar based on, all the meetings and emails. It would suggest an itinerary for an agenda for the meeting. And then you could just type or record a little video and not have to do the Zoom call. And you could just accomplish the mission of the meeting. So we tried all these things. And, I will say that none of them were big breakout successes. It's also very hard to pivot like that unless you have a really strong angle. But at the end of it, when COVID ended, finally, our core business came back really, really fast. So we were very lucky with that.
Yeah, and now your company is pretty big. How big is your company, and where are you in your growth process?
We're getting there. These days I don't measure company size by number of employees anymore. I think AI and AI agents. We are a very lean team. We're roughly 30 people, inclusive of contractors, full-time employees, and stuff like that. So we're very lean. We're using AI incredibly in the business. So we have AI agents across the stack, across all the functions. But we're hitting a major inflection point. Look, our thesis is that there is no booking.com for events, right? There is no leader in this global market. It's a massive, massive global market. The need, in the hospitality industry, they say 1/3 of all bookings at hotels and things like that are related to events, right? So that's a massive market with no leader. And we think that, if you think of how events are booked, you always needed a human in the middle because there's, events are complicated. There's all these things you need. There's so many moving parts that traditionally a human was always needed in the middle. But now with large language models and the way AI works, you can actually do it very differently. So we have a new product that uses AI in a really innovative way to solve a lot of problems for both the venues and the customers.
And you're not consumer, you're not B2C. Still not
we are now,
B2C.
so it's very interesting. So the part of the story here is we went enterprise and we were very successful. We won, some of the largest companies in the world, like Fortune 10, top 10 companies, a few of those, and so we have customers all across, and so it's been great. But at the same time, it's also been very slow. Enterprise is a slow.
Yeah, it takes time, the whole decision process, and
Yeah, especially if it's a new category where they have not decided, if all the companies decide we have to have a way to manage events, then, for an employee that works in the department, they'll say, for my job, I have to get something for this because otherwise I might get, might not have job security. But until you get that point, it's very, very long and painful. And so... so I think that the enterprise market has given us a lot of benefits, credibility. It subsidized the features. It helped us do a great job of building the right product. but now we're ready to open up the platform. I wouldn't call it consumer. Like it's not, we're not going to weddings and engagement parties and stuff like that right away. But I do think SMB is our immediate plan. We have a huge plan for SMB. So that's where we're going to start to see major breakout growth in the SMB segment.
Okay. And how are you planning to differentiate in the market?
Yeah, so two ways. There's two innovations that we look at. One is what we call P-type innovations. So those are like massive game-changing advances we're making on the product. And so we've done something massive that no one's ever done in this space, using AI to bundle together events in packages in a way that no one's ever done before. So,
interesting.
Like right now, any venue, a restaurant, a hotel, they have beautiful event capabilities. Maybe they have a rooftop or a poolside place for a reception, or maybe they have some special fireplace that's so intimate. But they have no way to market this today. So if you go to an event website, or a restaurant website or hotel website, and you click the events button, they don't really know they don't really have established methods of how to market their event capabilities, but they have beautiful capabilities. So using AI, we can now bundle in real time in a way that they've never been able to do. So one is the business, the product innovation, and the second is the business model innovation. So we have done some very innovative things there too.
Yeah, that's very interesting. One of my businesses in Turkey, back in Turkey, is an events business. It's a self-mastery. We have a self-mastery school. We do regular events, retreats, seminars, webinars. I have trained over 40,000 people in that business. So we had a lot of people. It's been running for over 25 years. It's not a startup business, kind of like a lifestyle business around me and my team of 25 people. But yeah, I am familiar with the event business, and I think bundling is just a great idea. And there are, over here as well, like in London, there are a lot of amazing spaces. And is the business strictly and only in the US right now, or are you global?
No, we're global.
You're global right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And what has been the most challenging thing in business for you as a founder, as an entrepreneur, in all these years? Is it finding your co-founders? Is it finding the investment? Is it the growth? Is it the pivot?
Yeah.
Where? Yeah.
The hardest part is your relationship with yourself, honestly. And I say that's
a great answer.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, every challenge, life is full of challenges, and every step has new challenges. Those challenges are in some ways exciting and revitalizing. Without challenges, like, life would be boring, right? So you need challenges, and you embrace challenges. But the question is, are you willing to change yourself? That's the hardest part of startup. The willingness to look in the mirror and say, oh, I actually have to change myself now. That is really, really hard, because especially as you get older, at any age, I mean, when I say older, even if you're 29 going to 30, or 49 going to 50, or 59 going to 60, anytime you're getting older, it's harder to change. And so the thing is that the startup journey requires you to change. There's no one that's immune from that. Even Elon Musk or whoever has to constantly change in order to meet the needs of the next challenge.
Change, and the best part is be better. Be better than who you were yesterday. That's the most exciting part, but that's also the most painful part. It's such a transformative journey.
For sure. And also, what I would say is that as a startup founder, you're surrounded by like all these fires burning, right? All these problems, and it's not just problems, but you have admin tasks that are eating up your time. You have so many things that, like, your actual work, the actual work where you can move the needle for your company is like 10 hours, and then 70 hours you're spending doing all this admin stuff, right? And then the admin stuff can get you really down because it's like boring, you don't want to do it, maybe it's stressful, maybe it has all these things, so then you're emotionally kind of driven off path by these kind of
because it's hard to see the value in it because you're
Right.
just spending too much time on detail, and it's just literally not looking way up, which founders love because we are visionaries. We want to look up and we want to look at the future and have these innovative ideas, but you're literally looking down and just you're inside this thing.
It's tolerance of it's being able to tolerate uncomfortable feelings and emotions every single day. That where you say, I want to give up, this is so boring, why can't I hire 5 people to do this crap, why do I have to do it, right? Like all those kind of thoughts, being able to just power through and keep doing it is what separates, I think, people that make it and people that don't, because like, trust me, I've had so many moments where I wanted to give up and just like
I know.
It's over.
We all had. Well, I think all founders had. It's like if you don't have ideas of giving up every day, that means you're not growing fast enough. It's like up and down and up and down. I personally find the whole growth process very challenging because I think the first 1 year or a couple of years when you have a small team of less than 10 people, it's much more easier because you're on the same page and everybody's on track and you have the same vision and you meet with your team every day. But as you grow your team, it's harder to just, keep everyone on the same page because it's harder to, it's harder to even making sure everybody knows what you're building and your vision and everything. So as you were growing your company, how did you, like, what are your tools and tricks for keeping the whole team together and on the same page and on track? Because I think that's one of the most important things on success of the company. It's like, everybody being on the same page and having the vision, and all the people in the company, even if you have hundreds of people, being on the same page and having the same vision and knowing the vision of the company and the founder, and it's kind of like the most hardest thing.
No, I agree with you. Actually, it's a key thing, and I'm glad you asked the question because I would say that in general, the mistakes I've made in my journey were that as I scaled the team, I started saying that, okay, now you're gonna do this. And I'm going to mentally like just give it to you and I'm going to like just hand it over to you. And that's where it always goes wrong. Where what I've learned is that no matter how big your company is, no matter how many people you have to stay really deep in the details. There's no avoiding it. If you try to avoid it and you think like, I'm going to hand it off now, you're going to make a massive mistake. You have to trust your people, of course, but you have to be very, very clued in on the details and get deep on the details with those leaders that you're working with, because that's your job. That's effectively your job. Your job isn't like, hey, I'm a visionary, we're going to go over here. Okay, you go do it. No, that's not how it works, right? Yes, I'm a visionary. We have to go over here and let me work with you to like talk through how we're going to go over here. And then, once we're aligned and locked in, then, let me know how we're doing and let's keep in touch on this. And then we, but the point is you got to stay deep in the details. And the mistake I made was that I would hire these people and then just say, okay, now you do this, right? And I kind of pulled myself out of a lot of the details, and that was always a mistake. Never worked out.
Yeah, I agree. And for this to happen, to be on top of every little detail, you have to create an amazing reporting system. And I bet you did.
I mean, I wouldn't even call it reporting. I would call it a framework, right? So a framework is like, and actually the hardest part of the framework is how to keep it simple. Because, like if you think about the core departments, divisions, and if you want to have a detailed view of each one, now you can overdo it, right? Like I want reporting and I want these 100 metrics, across, like, so if I want just 5 metrics across, 20 different activities, that's 100 metrics, and now I'm a mess, right?
Yeah.
So like, how do you find the 5 things that matter and like set those North Stars really clearly, and then understand all the things so that like your leaders know that, okay, the CEO, his vision or her vision is to go and do this. right? And in my group, that means we have to do X. Now, when we have that discussion about X, I'm going to present everything about how we're going to achieve X. And then this leader will know from their experience, like what to ask, what to drill on, and how to make sure we're on the right path. And so if you think about it like this, like even if you look at like Jensen from NVIDIA or Elon Musk or whoever, they are very much in the details, right? In every bit of the execution, and so, yeah, I mean, you do need a framework.
I agree. Yeah, you do need, definitely, you do need a framework. And coming to the leaders, is there kind of like a procedure where you choose your leaders? And like, how do you choose the leaders in your team? The ones you will be in connection with and the ones who will be leading different teams?
Yeah, I think the best phrase or the best like quote for leadership is that leaders are not assigned, but leaders emerge or something like that. But basically, you don't preventatively, like, you cannot pick a leader from a resume. That's just not how a leader is selected, right? We have a recruiting, kind of process in which we hire people based on, the criteria of the role and a few core values we have as a company. Generally, I found in my experience now that I prefer to hire people that are really hardworking and in the details and ambitious, driven, curious, high craftsmanship. And, I like people, earlier in their curve rather than hiring really senior people. But the most important thing is that they are willing to like get their hands dirty, right? And then basically like they have to exhibit leadership on the job. People are following them not because they have the title, but because they are the leader. That's what makes a leader, ultimately.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, that has been one of my challenges in my businesses, choosing the leaders. I think the one of the most important things, and it's a tough job. It's hard.
For sure. No, choosing the leaders is definitely hard. But I think that for me, like you have to almost put titles and seniority and all that stuff aside and see who's actually stepping up as a leader in the company. And the answer then becomes a lot easier. Yeah.
So who is already a leader with his or her innate wisdom or something, kind of.
Yeah, or like who is everyone following? That's who the leader is, right? Who's everyone following?
Yeah, exactly. So what are your next steps? Like, what's your vision for the next 3 to 5 years for your company? Where are you heading?
So we're on track to become the world leader in event bookings. We want to be the booking.com of events. That's basically what we want to do. And we think through a combination of product innovation and business model innovation, we can get there. The way to get there, we think, is distribution partnerships. We think that acquiring customers one by one is very painful in this space because the average user doesn't need an event that frequently, right? So if you try to go and acquire users one by one, the math doesn't work. However, if you can link yourself onto other platforms that have a big flow of users, then you have something. Right. And so that's kind of our vision for it. And we have recently signed some very big deals that get us there.
Lovely. Happy to hear. As one of your semi-investors. That's sure, great. Absolutely. Yeah, lovely to hear. I'll be there to see it all. Happy, the happy ending. Lovely. It was lovely speaking to you. Thank you very much for your time. I think you are very clear. You're very clear on your mission and where you're heading, and I will be one of the first people to congratulate you, hopefully, in your success in a couple of years.
Thank you so much for taking the time. It's a pleasure chatting with you. And
thank you. And you were such an inspiration for all of the founders, entrepreneurs listening to you. And thanks to everyone who are listening and who are watching us on our YouTube channel. Yeah, lovely, Ron. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Nevşah. Good to see you.
You too. Bye for now.